Hello and welcome back to the Shed Geek Podcast. Here's a message from our 2025 studio sponsor. Let's be real. Running a shed business today isn't just about building great sheds. The industry is changing fast. We're all feeling the squeeze, competing for fewer buyers while expectations keep climbing. And yet, I hear from many of you that you are still juggling spreadsheets, clunky software, or disconnected systems. You're spending more time managing chaos than actually growing your business. That's why I want to talk to you about our studio sponsor, ShedPro. If you're not already using them, I really think you should check them out. ShedPro combines your 3D configurator, point of sale, RTO contracts, inventory, deliveries, and dealer tools all in one platform. They even integrate cleanly into our Shed Geek marketing solutions. From website lead to final delivery, you can quote, contract, collect payment, and schedule delivery in one clean workflow. No more double entries, no more back and forth chaos. Quoting is faster, orders are cleaner. And instead of chasing down paperwork, you're actually running your business. And if you mention Shed Geek, you'll get 25% off all setup fees. Check it out at shedpro.co/ShedGeek. Thank you, ShedPro, for being our studio sponsor, and honestly, for building something that helps the industry.
All right, welcome back to another episode of the Shed Geek Podcast. Friday Fun Day, Sambassador style. I'm your host, Sam Byler. And man, I am so excited to be here today with one of my good friends, Calvin Shirk from Virginia. Calvin's been a hauler a long time, currently hauls for Helmuth Builders up there. Calvin, how are we doing today?
Doing awesome. Vacation day, so can't
Vacation
complain.
day.
Yep.
And it looks like you're outside. You must be further up north than Virginia because there ain't no way you're sitting outside in the temperatures that we're in right now.
Oh, it's a beautiful day here in Pennsylvania. The top forecasted temperature was 73 for today. So it's like Chris at Scenic View said earlier, it's air conditioning in the shop today.
No kidding. And if this shop is the way it used to be, it can use a little air conditioning.
That's right.
Yeah, air conditioning a shop is something that we're dealing with right now. Of course, I don't know, 700 miles south from Chris's shop there at Scenic View, but we set a record 3 days ago for the most consecutive days in a row at 90-degree weather, and today as of today, we broke that record every day since. So now we have 41 days in a row over 90 degrees. It's hot.
Wow, that is hot.
Now, that being said, the temperature for here tomorrow, the high is 76, and the high on Sunday is 72.
Oh, well, then you're getting what we have right now where I'm at.
Yep. I'm kind of excited about that. Maybe it'll cool our shop off a little bit. I think I saw by next Wednesday or Thursday we're going to be right back in our typical August weather, but that's the way it is. So what takes you to Pennsylvania?
Got family up here. Actually, both my wife and my families are in Pennsylvania yet, and hanging out with my wife's family here for this weekend again.
Very good. That's cool. So what's the story? What's the story behind Calvin? I don't even know how you even got into sheds. Like, I know a lot about you and we've talked a lot already, but I don't really know where did Calvin come from? So are you originally from Pennsylvania?
I am.
Okay.
Yep. I grew up I was born in Lancaster County, but I grew up in Selinsgrove area. My first job had me on high tensile fence, and the shop we took our truck to happened to also be a shop that had his own shed rigs and a few over the road
Nice.
just general freight trucks.
Mm-hmm.
So he kind of put the bait out for me a couple of times about shed hauling, and he started throwing the money figures out there. So I attempted it, and first year was a little rough. Ran for an Amish guy that was a single fella, so he didn't know about getting people home on time. But anyway, I was going to quit after that first.
I'm guessing you have a family.
I had a family. I mean, when I started, we had our second baby was just almost here when I started hauling sheds. So yeah, that was a little bit rough.
I was going to ask you what year you started, and since I know your kids a little bit, I kind of have a general idea of where I think you're at. But what year would have this been?
So that would have been 2002,
Yeah.
just a little before Thanksgiving when I first hauled my first shed.
Wow.
So yeah, I was 22 years old, and he basically, I guess the insurance guy kind of did one of those, not 100% Charlie deals, something about it being a brother or whatever, is to slide me on the insurance, but it worked, and I walked a pretty fine line there that first year. Actually, I got rear-ended in that first year, and it almost got me thrown off the insurance. He had to go back and get the police report that it was
Oh
not
no.
my fault to keep me on the insurance for the second year.
Yes. Yep. Even though it wasn't your fault.
Correct.
Yep. Yeah, I remember way back in the day when you kind of had to when you first started somebody off new and they were better drivers than some of my more experienced drivers, but you kind of had to you kind of hit them in the pot with everybody else and kind of told them, look, you got to behave for 6 months. 2002, you were 22. That was half a lifetime ago, man.
That's right. No, I didn't think about it that way before, but you're right.
That's crazy. You're
I'm
twice
over
as
double
old as
that
you were.
age. Yeah.
Yeah. And your boys
Yeah.
have grown up on you.
They did. Yep. The oldest three are 20 and above now. So
You have
but they
three
were
of
all
them 20 and above.
correct.
So how many children you have?
10.
10.
10 this side of heaven. Yep.
Nice. All the way
Yep.
from, okay, how old's the oldest one?
He's 23, and the youngest one will be 3 here in another couple months.
Nice.
We've got a
Very
big age range, but yeah, we
Yeah.
enjoy every blessing that God gave us.
Oh, I know you do. I've seen you around your children. I know you do. You got a good bunch too. They're a lot of fun to hang out with. I follow a couple of them on Facebook, and it's interesting to know you as parents, and then so I get to watch a lot of people's kids, but a lot of times I don't know the parents that good. I mean, sometimes I know the parents and I don't know the kids as good, but it's always interesting to me to see one of the two parents that becomes the more like you can see, well, they're more like their mama, they're more like their daddy, or vice versa, or whatever. And then there's the ones like a couple of yours that just seem to be a good mix.
Yep.
So yeah, so you've been at it. You basically raised the family while you've been doing shed hauling.
Oh, exactly. It's like when I was thinking about this earlier today. It's like the oldest two, well, the youngest or the of the oldest two, the second one wasn't quite born when I started, but literally the oldest boys were in diapers when I started.
Yeah, yeah.
So
And now they're out doing their own thing.
they're doing their own thing, but the 3 boys and the oldest daughter are now certified as pilot cars, so I get them back in part-time basis to help me out, and I just love it. And
Yeah, I'm
my
sure
wife's
you do.
also certified, so I've got in our house now we got a total of 5 certified people for pilot cars yet. So even though I mean we work for a family business, but we're not the owners, but it feels like we own the delivery part because it's a family affair for delivery.
Yep, it is.
Yep.
Yeah. And where are you located at? Where are you living at?
We're in Broadway, just 10 minutes north of Harrisonburg, Virginia.
Right in the middle of the valley.
Yep. Beautiful Shenandoah Valley.
Yeah, no kidding. It is a beautiful place. So what's the highlight of your shed hauling career? I always like to know the highlight before I know the low side. Maybe I do it backwards, but I mean, you've raised a family doing it. That has to be pretty high on the list. But like, what do you look at as your top moments of what makes, what made you decide to stick with it this long? A couple more years, you'll have 25 years in.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting you asked that question. It's, I guess, one I wasn't really totally considering, but as far as what we just discussed, as far as having the children join me in it, and, at least on a part-time basis,
Yep.
that's probably one of my highlights there. I mean, between my children and my wife's also helps out with pilot car work. So, and then if she comes, of course, the younger children get to ride too. I mean, one of the highlight, that is actually a highlight. I mean, like when she's changing from following me to chasing me as she comes around me, and that little girl in the back seat in the car seat and she keys up the radio as she comes by, and the little girl says, "Hi, Dad." I mean, that is one of the highlights right there.
Yeah, you can't beat that, can you?
That's right.
Yeah. What's the low side of shed hauling while you're raising a big family?
The amount of hours you spend doing it. I'm one of those that just finds it so hard to say no. I mean, if there's a job to be done, you don't go home until it's done.
Yeah.
Whether it's 6 o'clock at night, 8, 9, 10, midnight, 2 a.m.
And we've all been there.
It's done.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
I'd say that's the downfall.
Yeah. What about as far as the actual deliveries and stuff? You got, I'm sure you're in the South, well, I consider Virginia the South. Some people might not, but what's your best delivery and your worst delivery situation? You got mountains, so you get into some
We
sticky
got mountains.
stuff.
Oh, we do. I guess one of the, I don't know if this is the top delivery, but it's the most memorable one, is October of 23. We took a 16 by 60 back across the mountain on 33. It's a 2-lane highway, and it's about 4 or 5 miles from the bottom to the top as you go the wiggle up across.
Yeah.
And down the other side into West Virginia. Then we bent back across, went from a 2-lane road to basically a lane and a half, 16 wide. You're taking every bit of the road.
Yep.
And about 2 miles before we get there, we were crossing this 1-lane bridge, which I had done a sight check, so I knew kind of what I'm up against for, and it just had low sides on. I thought I'm good. Well, we get about halfway across, and we learn, then we figure out that the road drops off on the far side, so that brings the front of the building down, and
back of the building up.
The trailer don't have enough power to lift it up and float across there. It's a homemade trailer. It's a homemade trailer that's, basically an inventory trailer.
Yeah.
So we had bought a Mule 7 just simply for this building. We knew we needed another one anyway. And so I had one of my boys as one of the pilots and come back and kind of racked our brains a little bit. So we took the Mule 7 on the side of the building and picked up enough and had the mast turned sideways so that we could run the mule with the building.
Oh, yeah.
I put him in the driver's seat of the semi. So he moved the truck forward as I moved the mule front. I think we ended up rehooking, if you will, to get the mule where it needed to be. And we got off that bridge. UPS was waiting on us, and a couple locals were waiting on us till we got off.
Oh, no.
But we got across that single lane bridge.
Yeah, I heard that.
But then the fun was only beginning. We got back there. I had done a sight check, like I said, and I knew it was a pretty good hill, and that's why I wanted the power of a 7 over the 5 that I had before.
Oh, yeah.
But it was that steep of a hill. I mean, we got the thing about 2 building lengths off the road and ran out of power on that. Couldn't get on up the hill. So thankfully, we had the 5500 along as one of the pilot cars, and we ended up hooking that to the front of the building while I pushed at the back of the building at the mule. And I think it was about 4 hours later, we finally had it to the top of the hill.
Oh, my word. With a 5500 pulling and a 7 on the back.
That's correct. That's what it took.
Introducing the Challenger, the revolutionary new shed mover that's taking the industry by storm. The Challenger features a touchless design, ensuring it only makes contact at the end of the skids and the bottom of the floor joists, so rest easy knowing your gable walls will remain pristine. Worried about reliability? Fear not, the Challenger is always up for the challenge and will not overturn or scuff your shed. Harness the power of innovative wireless technology. Remotely control the Challenger
via your smartphone. No cell service needed. And guess what? The cell phone remote comes standard with every Challenger at no extra cost. Featuring floating forks, a 4-directional tilting mast, and sliding weight transfer, move the shed weight precisely where you need it to get ultimate traction. With self-loading capability, straight onto your truck, say goodbye to the need for a hydraulic carriage. The Challenger makes your job easy and more efficient. Choose from 2 machine sizes, 10,000 pounds and 15,000 pounds. Perfect for any job. Visit www.shedchallenger.com or email us at info@shedchallenger.com or call or text 828-220-3508 for more information. Experience the future of shed moving with the Challenger.
So you said this was a 16 by 60, correct?
Correct. That is
And
correct.
before that, you would have been moving these with a 5? Like not
I
up the
never
hill
built
like that, but you would have been moving them.
that. Was our first one that big.
Okay.
So I had ran out of power on a lap-sided 14 by 48 with the 5, and that's why I said when this 16 by 60 come along, we got to have more power. You know, I ran out of power on a 1448. Here we're 2 foot wider and 12 foot longer. Got to have more power. I mean, it's a lot more weight. Well, it got that steep that even full throttle, if I'd hit the remote, it just killed that 7 instantly. That's how steep that hill was.
Wow. Wow.
So
there
is a video to document. That whole delivery got documented. We had a 20-year-old sales guy at the time, actually a friend of my son's, documented the trail up across the mountain, documented the whole delivery. So it's on YouTube. It can be seen. It's a 12-minute long video.
Yeah, I was going to ask you if that's the one that's on that I've seen videos of. So it's on. Where do you find your stuff under YouTube?
So we've done our own personal YouTube channel for that stuff. I was like, probably could have done it on the company page, but it's like, well, if the next driver is not as crazy as I am, at least he doesn't have to try to keep up.
Yeah, no kidding.
So our channel is Daphne Dale Deliveries. And if you type that in, it'll come up. And then there's, I think, right around 30 different videos on there with.
Right. So you have a bunch of them. I knew you had some. Yeah.
Basically, I started that to try to cut down on the amount of site checks I do, so you can show a prospective customer, hey, you get this scenario popping up. Well, what about if we do this? And it cut down my amount of requested site checks by a lot because they can see, oh, you can do that. Yeah, we're good to go.
Yeah, that does help. And a picture is worth 1,000 words. A video is worth 1,000 pictures.
Exactly.
So it makes a big difference. So talking about mules, that's one of my sponsors. Well, actually, I have 2. I have Cardinal that sponsors us, which has the mule, and then the Challenger also sponsors us. And both of them advertise with us. Some people are like, how can you have both of them on there? And I'm like, look, you got to have multiple options. And
exactly.
I've never been a fan of just one thing being the final. I mean, we would still be using pipes. We wouldn't even have hydraulic trailers yet. So I'm always up for, and we've said for years, let's find something that works different from what we already have. And the Challenger, obviously, I don't know if you got to run one yet or not, but works completely different than what a mule does. But let's talk about mules for a little bit. The little machines, for those that are listening, maybe that don't know, most of the people that listen to us, they immediately know, it's not a 4-legged donkey trying to pull a building uphill. It's the little machine that we put under it. You got an opinion on that?
No, I got a funny story.
Let's hear it.
So one of our salespeople was talking to a customer one day, and the customer's telling him what her site's looking like, and he's like, "Oh, it sounds like our mule should be able to do that." And she goes, "Oh, the poor thing." thinking it's a four-legged mule.
Yeah, we put wheels under it. We put a pair of donkeys on the end of it, and away we go.
So
That's good.
perspective is everything, but yeah,
Oh, it is.
I won't ever forget that one.
Well, there's many a time sitting around a table with 12, 15 haulers, sales guys, manufacturers, whatever, rent to own people. We are so far as people in the industry, we are so far in the woods sometimes that we forget what we say. We're talking about mules and this and that or whatever, and some people just don't have any idea what we're talking about.
Yep.
But to get back to what I was going to ask you, you've been around long enough that you did this before we had mules.
Oh,
2002
yeah.
they were pretty new.
Even though I know there's a number of haulers in our listening audience and on our hauler page that are a good bit older than I am, I still refer to myself to my customers as an old school hauler.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because like you just said, I use the pipes, I use the jacks, I use the digging bar, give them a 45, give them a 90, whatever it needed to get them into place. But yeah.
Yeah.
I did it the old school way to start.
So when did you first start? When did you first get to use a mule? Or did you get you had a nice trailer first, didn't you? Like you had a trailer with some nice options on it.
Correct. I started when I was first in Virginia is when I was introduced to the newer trailers. So I had a really nice spec'd out trailer at my previous company too. And then when I got to Helmuth, we took that blueprint and just elaborated on it. So it's pretty much a fully loaded Pine Hill double frame trailer that every option that was out there, even the barn spinner, which was interesting when I ordered that. Ruben's like, well, not so many haulers order that anymore since the mules are out. Well, at the time we ordered that trailer, I didn't have a mule.
Yeah.
And even since having the mule, I still once in a while, well, I like to pull from a certain end of the building. I'll use my barn spinner and turn that building around so that I can pull from the end I want to pull from.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, I understand.
Yep.
Yeah. What let's say you got a fully loaded trailer right now, you've got, a barn spinner, you got the push pull chain, you got sideways wheels, tail shift. Let's say you even have leveling axles. What are you willing? What are you not willing to give up now?
I don't know that there's any option that I want to give up. It's like when I spec'd this trailer out, I added an extra set of horse barn stingers on the back. And for the first 2 or 3 years, didn't really use them much. I figured on a long horse barn, it's going to take weight off my tail to save my tail extension.
Yeah.
And after biz, like, well, maybe I wasted money there. Well, then we got into floorless buildings. And I tell you what, with floorless buildings, that extra support on that sidewall, not just taking weight off my tail, but also supporting that sidewall as you're going down the road. And it's not Pennsylvania or New Jersey roads, but it's still the state of the nation's roads just ain't the best. So, I mean, you get that extra little support in there and not rocking your building around. Yeah, I don't know of any option that I'm willing to give up on that, even with having a mule.
Even with having a mule. See, I've said this all the time. Guys are like, you got a mule, you just need a standard trailer. I don't know if you saw it. There was a post on today about a guy putting his dolly wheels under the back of an old WKM, and he's using the mule to push it sideways. He jacked the trailer up until all the weight's on the wheels in the back, and that's his sideways wheels. And somebody's like, you got an old trailer, And some guys are like, oh, well, that worked fine, but you got a mule now. And I'm like, you're kidding me. I still want to have those options available. Let's go let's get into sticky mud a little more. Semi or pickup truck?
Well, as anybody that follows me on social media knows that I'm spoiled and I have 3 options available, or 4 total. And I'm really not at a spot where I want to give any of those up either. And I'm going to give credit to God on that, as far as it seems breakdowns or whatever happen at the right spot. So last week's a good example. I mean, mostly I run the semi and my newer Pine Hill trailer. Well, the Pine Hill had blown in a hydraulic line, so I used the older truck and the pickup. And here again, it's one of those that my boys grew up around this. They know what to expect. We get there, and it's one of those that had to go several hundred feet through the woods where they had just cleared out trees, used a box blade, and with a little, like a compact John Deere tractor. So, it's not a good path in there.
Yeah.
And it's the mule wouldn't have been a good option either because, there was football-sized rocks everywhere going in there. It would have just wiped the dolly wheels out. It's a floorless horse barn going through the woods.
Yeah.
But I had this short 18-foot trailer with the pickup and the son that knew shed hauling. And between the two of us, in about 45 minutes, maybe just over an hour, we had wheedled it back through the trees. It took every option we had. We had leveling axles on the trailer.
Yep.
The sideways wheels, and then we had the 5500, which turned shorter than the 3500, and just all those options together made it work.
Yep.
And if we would have had the semi, we would have fought it with the mule to get it back there, but we would have ended up jacking a couple times and putting dolly wheels back under and just overall being frustrated.
Yeah, no kidding. So what I'm hearing you say is there is no perfect setup.
Exactly.
It all depends what you're getting into. And I'll even say this, even though, okay, we take a guy like Woody. It's been at it for 40 years. Woody does the same thing every week. He knows exactly what he does. There is a perfect setup for him. He knows exactly what he's doing when he leaves. So he knows exactly what he's got to have, what he wants, blah, 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 all that. Keith Stolzfus, been at it a long time. Delivers in all the same areas, does all the same things. Probably has the perfect rig. But even him, every once in a while, I hear him bellyache a little bit about a single axle semi, could he actually do it, And look, his dad has semis everywhere. He grew up around semis. He drove semis.
Yep.
He knows all the ins and outs of them. I think we're always trying to find a perfect setup. And I think for the average delivery guy that has to haul his own inventory and stuff, what you said is just sums it up. There is no perfect setup. Some days you're going to want the one, some days you're going to want the other one. I know exactly what you're talking about. There's one thing a mule can't do yet is an up and over. Now, granted, we keep saying we shouldn't do up and overs, period. Well, all right, then spend an hour and take the lady's fence down, put her building in, put her fence back in. What's your other option here? Get a crane out, whatever. I'm gone. I'm done. I do up and overs. Try to be as safe as I can. I put extra, bolsters in to help prevent, bad things from happening. What's your opinion on all that?
Well, I can do an up and over generally in 10 to 15 minutes. And you just said it, you're looking at an hour plus till you pull a fence out. And if you're kind enough to put it back in, you're looking at a minimum of an hour. So,
yep.
And with these newer trailers, it could still fail, but it's got that lockout block in there.
Yeah.
So when that trailer's up in the air, even if that line blows, it's not supposed to come back down.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, to me, it's not a. Well, like I said earlier, I'm crazy. I'll do it. I won't purposely walk under that building while it's up in the air.
Yeah.
I will take my safety precautions, but to me, an up and over is just part of the game, and actually, I get a kick out of doing them. I enjoy them.
Oh yeah, I do too. Me and you both. You said something kind of offhandedly there. If you're kind enough to put the fence back in, I threw that in there on purpose because while we had a policy that we will take a fence out to put your building in, we also had a written policy that we did not put fences back in. It was in our paperwork in the check sheet. I had a 13-point check sheet that when you bought a building, you check marked every one of them. You had to check mark 13 times to say that you read all of them, and then you had to sign at the bottom. And one of those was, if we have to take your fence out to put your shed in, we will not reinstall your fence. We are not fence people. Because I had gone through years of delivering other people's buildings, where, oh yeah, just take the fence out. And then, when you get back out, you can't put a fence back up. It doesn't work that way. You got to have the right tools. If it's a chain link fence, you got to carry stretcher and all that stuff. Sure. We put some of them back in because posts came out really nice and easy. We put them back in, tighten them up. But that was not policy to put fences back in. Is that something you do? See the same?
That's the same. Yeah, we have the policy too. I don't know if it's in a checkpoint like you mentioned, but it is clearly specified, we're not even supposed to pull the post. If they need to be, a post needs to be pulled, the customer's supposed to have that done ahead of time. Well, we all know we're not in a perfect world, and they're like, oh, I didn't think about that. Well, when you got a jack and or a mule with a hydraulic mast, and it takes you all of 2 minutes to do when you have the equipment in place, why wait on Mr. Homeowner to find his jack or his shovel or whatever, spend that 2 minutes to, get permission. But once you have that permission from the homeowner to go ahead, you wrap that chain around there, you get it out of your way, and game on.
Yeah. Instead of having to do a redelivery.
Correct.
That brings me up to something. If the homeowner has it ready, I have something that happens to me more than anything else when it comes to fences and openings through fences. And this is the scenario of a 12-foot building, and I pull up and there's a 10-foot gate. And they're like, I measured it and it'll fit. I have an argument for this. I'm curious if you know what it is. When they pull a tape out and they pull it across a 10-foot gate, why do they think it's 12 foot?
Because it's 120 inches, so they're looking at 12 foot. Because I've read into that exact scenario with a 14 wide here a couple years back. They do not know how to read a tape measure.
No, every time you pull it out and they'll be like right there, 12 foot, 12-0. And I'm like, honey, that's 120 inches. That 10 above there is 10 foot.
Unlock the power of productivity with Cardinal Leasing. Are you looking to elevate your business operations with top-tier equipment? Look no further than Cardinal Leasing. We offer a wide range of reliable and high-quality equipment tailored to meet your unique needs. Flexible leasing options. Whether you need short-term rentals or long-term solutions, our customizable leasing plans are designed to provide maximum flexibility and affordability. Conventional financing available. Cardinal Leasing also offers great conventional finance options for those of you that prefer that over-lease purchase options. Expert support. Our team of experienced professionals is here to guide you every step of the way, ensuring a seamless leasing experience. Boost efficiency. With our top-of-the-line equipment, you can enhance productivity, reduce downtime, and achieve your business goals faster. Why choose Cardinal Leasing? Competitive rates, exceptional customer service, hassle-free process, quick and easy approvals. Don't let outdated equipment hold you back. Partner with Cardinal Leasing today and take your business to the next level. Contact us now. Visit our website at equipment.cardinalleasing.us or call us at 618-803-4086 to get started.
Exactly.
All the time. And now they didn't know they had to have the post out because they thought their 12-foot building, granted, even if it was 12 foot, it's exactly the same size as my building without trim.
Yep.
So it's not going to fit anyway. Now, if you build like some of these guys around here do, your 12-foot building isn't but 11'4" down at the bottom anyway, because their 12 foot's up at the roof. So yes, you can actually fit it through a 12-foot opening, but you're not going to fit it through 120 inches.
Nope.
Any way you look at it. That is crazy
Exactly.
that you knew exactly what I was talking about, because it happens all the time.
I don't have it happen too often, but I had a 14 wide that got delivered when I was on vacation one time, or moved, I should say. And yeah, that's how the customer's reading the tape, and the driver had to tell him, like, look, this is not right. the sad part was he was building a gravel pad for this thing and
Oh
didn't know how to
no.
read the tape.
Hey, that's an interesting. So you're kind of, I don't know this about you, so I'm not sure where I'm going with this. If I'm gonna win or lose my argument here, gravel pads,
Okay.
use them or don't use them.
Sell them wherever you can use them.
Sell them wherever you can use them.
Yep. And
So
we have a unique situation going on here with us now. We had a Amish family that's now ex-Amish moved from Pennsylvania to Virginia and set up business in 2020, right at the time we got slammed with sales and deliveries. So previous to 2020, we did gravel pads as well as block sets, all in-house.
Yeah.
These guys show up at the right time. I'm swamped, can't see light at the end of the tunnel, and they like, hey, we'd like you the business of doing your gravel pads for you. Sure.
Mhm.
We'd love to partnership with. And since that, we have, and our salespeople, of course, have all their information. They know we've worked together for over 5 years now and have a good working relationship. And then we also sell them, it's better for your building long term. It looks better. So after that relationship got well established, I mean, probably 22, 23, we were up to probably 60 to 75% gravel pads on a lot of buildings.
Wow.
Now, the last 2 years, it has backed off a little bit, but I know the other spring, I had ordered block right around New Year, and I ordered a decent jag for what we normally do.
Yeah.
I didn't reorder block to the end of March because I had that many gravel pads throughout the winter.
Yeah. So you're talking about gravel pads that you guys or subcontractors install, though.
Correct.
You're not. What about gravel telling the customer you got to have a gravel pad, either buy it through us or you got to do it yourself, or hire somebody. So if you're doing gravel pads yourself, you have a little bit more control of what that pad looks like when you show up with a building.
Yeah.
You know where I'm going with this?
I have a good idea.
Because I
the
see
difference
gravel
between
pads that people just drop sheds on, and I'm like, that shed ain't level. Oh, it don't matter. It's on a gravel pad. That's what they ordered. That's what they get. And I can't wrap my head around that to save my life. And then the next time, there'll be a guy like on the hauler page be like, I finally got the elusive gravel pad, and it's sitting on the gravel on one end, and it's 3 blocks high on the other end. It's like, you just wasted your time, my time, and everybody else's time, and $1,000, $2,000 worth of gravel.
Exactly. Well, I remember, first year I was at Helmuth. Customer had the building ordered, and on our check sheet it says whether it's a gravel pad or whether it's a block set.
Oh,
it says gravel pad, and I get there, and it's a nice gravel pad, and it's nice and even, but it's not level.
Yeah, no kidding. Maybe you should be in that check box where it says gravel pad or block. There should be a box up there, level gravel pad.
Well, I haven't got it done yet. What I want to do is borrow Joe Gish's picture that he has posted already that says level versus gravel or even.
Even.
And I want to print that picture and have every salesperson hang it on the wall behind their desk.
Yep. I get it. I do that with my phone all the time. I'll turn that sucker on an angle and I'll be like, this is what a customer thinks is level. And then I'll turn it caddy corner at an angle and be like, this is what we're talking about. And then turn the thing the other way and say, this is what the salesman's thinking. Because they all look, as long as it's all running the same way, they think it's level.
Correct.
And it is not, it doesn't work that way. So what's
I just want that I want that picture behind their right behind them so that everybody sees it. It's not on the sidewall, but
yeah, no kidding.
You asked what my
right
preference. You asked my preference on it, and if I'm like with the situation I got now with a subcontractor doing the pads and doing a good job at it, highly do the gravel pad is my preference simply on the time savings.
Yeah.
Now, previous to that, when we were doing the gravel pads, where I was the delivery driver and the gravel pad installer, it was kind of a toss-up because I'd spend that much time putting a gravel pad in that I could have blocked it in a quarter of the time.
Oh yeah.
It was kind of a little bit of a toss-up because yeah, it was nice for delivering that shed, but I could have delivered 3 that day, whereas I got 1 done.
Yep.
So I did the pad and put the shed on it.
Yep. So yeah, it's I've watched Evergreen, the Weaver boys up in Michigan, watch them grow their hauling company, and now they have a legit pad business. 2 full-time, I think it's 2 full-time employees, full-time rig, the nice little mini mini skid steer, all that stuff. They go out, put all the pads in and stuff. Fantastic. I love the way that operates. But if I got to do any kind of work on a gravel pad, I just assume they'd left it the way it was supposed to be. Because leveling a building on gravel is worse than leveling a building on dirt. That's my personal opinion. And most times, if it's on gravel, it's not going to get leveled but a little bit. Now you got to figure out how to crawl under a building full of slam rocks. Not me.
I agree with you to about 95%. If the gravel is right and you can just take your hand and level out a spot to level your block and go up from there, that's quicker than digging in a hard pan dirt.
Oh yeah.
But
yeah,
most of the time, the gravel is like you just said, if you got to crawl under it and you got a small space to do it, it is just miserable.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, our sheds have 5 runners under it, so we blocked that center runner. Well, you try to get that block in there even with a shovel or digging iron, you're pushing rock in there. I mean, you got to lift the thing an extra 3 or 4 inches if you're trying to block that center runner, if it's so tight, just to get that center one in.
This is true. Yeah. What else have you seen that's changed in the hauling industry outside of, the nicer trailers, the going to mules, and then also we've seen, I feel like even in the past 5 years, we've seen a huge change from pickups to semis. What other things do you see that have changed?
Well, I guess to give full perspective on that, and we alluded to that a little bit. There's a conversation I've had with customers already. Well, back when I started, the first trailer I pulled had tilt, had a winch, and I think it had an extending tongue. That was it.
Mm-hmm.
So I went from that to these fully tricked out modern day Pine Hill trailers. So I've already went a long ways right there.
Yeah.
As far as what I've seen in the last 5 years, I think the biggest thing is the buildings keep getting bigger. So you just got to keep figuring out what the next step is there.
That's 100% what I was expecting you to say. I could have wrote it down on a piece of folded paper and gave it to it. The other thing that keeps being thrown at haulers is the size of buildings and the distance they want them hauled.
Exactly. Yep.
It just seems like neither one of those, we're just constantly feeding a grinder that's never going to be happy. I mean, we've got some massive trailers out there now that, 20 by 80 completely finished out cabins. Well, even some of the guys that are strictly still doing shed side, all of a sudden they're having to haul sheds 4 or 5 hours, and the only way to make money doing it is to add another shed on the back. So you got to have a longer trailer. The sheds are bigger. Some of them are being built heavier. There's more options to some of them. So all of a sudden, there's guys that aren't even hauling cabins that are pulling cabin trailers, just because of the size of the sheds they're hauling.
Well, we're at that spot at Helmuth Builders. It kind of crept up on me and kind of caught me a little bit off guard. We did a 16 by 34 finished out house for hurricane relief, and that was the one that kind of trigger me into how warm this thing is. I just had a bearing go out the week before, so I was really paying attention to my wheels that trip. And then I got to doing the math on the way to this building. It's like, hey, this regular 12K axle shed delivery trailer is actually pretty far overloaded with this finished out cabin. I mean, as far as the trailer functions, everything seemed like, we're not necessarily beating the trailer to death, but we're way over on weight. Yep. So we're in the process of checking out our options with going toward a cabin trailer. Just simply, I mean, we do 2-story buildings. Well, you add an extra story to a modular piece. It's already 12 by 40. I mean, now you went, you didn't quite double your weight, but you're at least a lot of extra 50 up there. You're at least 50% more in weight. I mean, that's debatable, depending on your builder, but I would say for us at least, it's at least 50% more weight, being you added that extra story.
Yep. So now you're looking at a bigger trailer.
Correct. Which is going to limit us on options. I mean, we talked about trailers a little bit earlier. I mean, I still like my leveling axles. I mean, you get into the woods somewhere and you got leveling axles option. Well, you just lean it a little bit. You get away from that tree and you go a little bit further. Now you lean it the opposite way to get away from that tree. Can't do that with a mule. Well, if I go away from my regular double frame trailer to a cabin trailer, I'm losing that leveling axle option too, because I'm going air ride.
Yeah, no kidding.
So it's always pros and cons.
Yeah, there is every time. Yep.
I got a big day tomorrow. I have a fully finished 18 by 40 cabin that's going to require 2 to 3 mules to get it delivered. Way back in the sticks and down a dirt lane. With all the rain we've had lately, it's going to be a mess. Well, it needs a bigger mule.
Well, when you talk, Cardinal listens, and you asked for it. With its diesel-powered 69-horse engine and capacity to move 40,000-pound sheds, the Mule 9069 is ready to turn your big days into just another day in the good life.
Ah, that's right. You're talking about the one they had up in Michigan at the shed show. That monster mule, that thing was awesome.
That's right. It's the one you've seen at all the shed hauler barbecues.
Man, yeah, there's nothing like a little diesel donkey to make my day go so much better.
Bigger buildings, big deal. Longer hauls, big deal. What do you see coming down the road? How long you sticking with this a while yet? What does the future look like for shed hauling and for shed hauling for you?
Personally, I'd like to see in the next 3 to 5 years that I can at least scale back in the amount of deliveries that I do. And I don't know, exactly what that's going to look like, possibly dispatch, who knows? I mean, basically I'm open to options yet at this point, but getting to the point, I mean, like I said earlier, I know there's haulers older than me, but when you block the amount of buildings we block, that does take a toll. In the heat we had this summer and you block 3 buildings in a day. I mean, for me, that pretty much your body's shot till then.
Yeah, no kidding.
And the older you get, the harder it gets. I mean, you get more of this. Yeah. And I don't see any slowdown on the size of the building. I mean, for us at Helmuth, I mean, we've branched into the modular some as the tiny house craze has caught on across the nation pretty much with the sheds, turning them into houses. Yep. Well, and that's debatable in that term too. I mean, it's tiny house is supposed to be under 1,000 square feet or under 1,200 square feet or whatever.
I get into this all the time. These are not tiny houses. These are shouses. I call them, the shed, the house, they're shouse. They're not tiny houses. Tiny houses are supposed to be able to be pulled behind a pickup truck down the road, little 8 by 12s, 8 by 14s and 16s, tall, skinny. These things are massive. They're literally, like we said, they're cabins, they're modulars. Call it what it is.
So the biggest one we offer now is, I think, right around 2,400 square feet if it's a 2-story. Well, that's bigger than the farmhouse I live in.
Yeah, no kidding. That's bigger than my house. Yep. This is true. Virginia's still a good market?
Just from what I'm picking up through the different, like the shed sales professionals and some of that, I would say Virginia is actually a pretty strong market for this year, and I'm seeing some of the other markets maybe a little bit softer, but I'd say
Yeah.
Virginia is a strong market.
Nice. That's cool.
The competition is picking up, though. That I have seen.
Yeah. Yep. I'm sure. What do you want to? This is your time. What do you want to? What would you tell the Hauler Nation, the Shed Nation? Pick whichever one you want, or any of them. What's your advice? What's your word you have? You got anything for us?
Give it your best. The people will feel you out right away, whether you're there just trying to get this job done and on to the next one, or if you're actually giving them your full attention to the job's done. And I guess one of the ways I pull this off, about 3 years ago, I started self-dispatching. Just simply, it worked better for our way of doing things. And with that, so I get a little more customer contact.
Yep.
But I also learned pretty quick to let my phone in the truck when I'm on a job. So it does two things. Half the time, if the phone did ring, it was a spam caller anyway, and now you quit work for that. But even if it's a customer, now I'm stopping work where I'm at and delaying finishing that job till I get to the next one, or even plan the next one. Where if I just make everybody wait till I'm back on the road, now that customer that I was just at feels valued because I stayed on the job till it was done.
Yep.
And the next guy, he's not going to get his shed any sooner than he would otherwise. Actually, maybe a tad touch sooner because I didn't spend 10 or 20 minutes on the phone with him while I should have been working.
Yep.
So for me, it's just been helpful all along to just let the phone in the truck. Now, if I got to go back for a drink or whatever, I will check, and if there's a message I need to get back to right away, I will do that. But I won't specifically go back to the truck just to check my phone.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Years ago, I mean, phones were already a thing, so it wasn't that terrible long ago. But I remember somebody in a training seminar. I don't even remember where I was. Somebody from a podium was talking about the fact that if you can't stick with the ones that are in front of you right now, like if you get sidetracked from who's in your vision right now, then you'll never take care of the ones that you're letting interrupt who you're with right now, because at some point you're in front of them.
Exactly.
We use that same philosophy a lot of times. Sometimes Aaron and I, when we go out to eat, we're both on our phones. Sometimes when Karen and I go out to eat, we're both on our phones. But sometimes we just, and sometimes we don't even like talk about it. It's just a given. You lay the phone down over there. She lays her phone down, and you just focus on the now and who's there.
Exactly.
So some people would come into a restaurant and they'd see us as a couple, and they'd be like, "Oh man, that couple, they sat there on their phones all night. They don't even think or care about each other." And then the next time we go in there and the phone's laid down, they're like, "Oh man, that couple doesn't even look at their phones." You never know, but you have to be in the now sometimes. And I agree with you. If you're dealing with a customer, this is the same thing for when you're selling a building as it is for when you're setting up a building. If you're selling a building and you stop with that customer in the middle of a sale to take a phone call, if you want to do that, you're 100% welcome to do that. But that is not me, and that's not the way my customers would get treated. I'm going to finish up with what I'm doing. I might answer it and say, "Hey, I need to call you right back. I'm with a customer right now." If I feel like it's one of those customers that I need to do that, like if I've talked to them before or whatever. But if they can't respect that, I don't really want to deal with them people anyway.
That's a key phrase right there. Not every customer that comes through your door is your customer.
Yeah, that's true too. We've had those. Hey, let's go back to deliveries. You ever get that feeling in the middle of a delivery, I should just load this shed up and take it back home? And then 6 weeks later, you're like, why didn't I just do what I knew I felt like I needed to do?
That's a fair question, and it's not one that, I necessarily can think of a time when I had to do that or wished I would have done that. And I think credit to the salespeople that I've worked with that have done their due diligence. So shout out to my salespeople, and not just at my current company, but at previous companies too, that did their homework and connected well with the customer, that the expectations were properly set. I mean, not saying we never had a hiccup. That's not what I'm saying, but the expectations by and large were set properly, that when we got there, that we were good to go.
Yeah. Yeah. I've had haulers call me back, and they or even pilot cars call me back and be like, "We probably shouldn't have delivered that one." And
Sure.
I'm like, "Yeah, what's the deal?" They're like, "No, we'll just bet a steak dinner on it. Let's see what happens." It's seldom that they're wrong.
Sure.
Been wrong a couple times. I owed my son a couple steak dinners when he was helping me. We'd pack up and leave, and I'd be like, "I'll bet you a steak dinner I'm going back to get that one." And there's a couple times I was wrong, but not very often.
Sure.
And it's what you said about a shout out to your salespeople is a huge thing. We were hauling for a couple companies that it was sell, 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 sell. It didn't matter. Sell it whatever you had to do, make the down payments for them, all kinds of goofy stuff going on. And, it's like running a 6-week Russian roulette that, the gun's going to go off and pop you back, because it's not going to work, and it is a big deal, in my opinion, to work for a company that cares about their customers, cares about their sales enough to where you as a hauler can say that. That's a big deal.
And I think back, there's times when I did some in my previous company where it was, I wouldn't be surprised we're back for this one. And there was a few that, like you just said, that we did go back. And then there was some that I figured we'd hear from them and never did. So it does work both ways.
It does. Yep. Anything else you want to get out there?
There's one thing that I've thought of if I ever get a chance to do a interview on a podcast like this with the haulers, and that's one that I've felt I've learned from somebody else and I'd pass on, and that's how to leave a voicemail that you get a good response from.
Oh.
And you start out when you let a voicemail for a customer, at least this is my way, and I think I've got excellent callback from if I let a voicemail. So to get back to where I was is when you call a guy, if you're leaving a voicemail, identify yourself and let your phone number as your second thing that you're saying. That way, if they missed whatever else your other introduction was, they don't have to wait to the end to find your phone number again. So now follow through on this.
Oh yeah,
when you're done,
I'm with you.
When you're done letting your voicemail, letting your message, when you finish up, re-identify yourself.
Yep.
This is Calvin at Helmuth Builders. My number is, give it once, and then again and the second time you slow down and say it a little more enunciated.
Yep.
And what that does is, once in a while, it's not as much as it was back in the first days of cell phones, but if a cell phone blips out and they miss a digit somewhere, or they're trying to write it down that second time, and what was the last 3 again, or last 4? You just gave it to them twice. So, and you slowed down a second time. So they got your full phone number. So it's rare that I would hear anything that, well, I couldn't get your number or whatever like that. My voicemail covers, the way I let a voicemail covers what it takes to get a good callback.
Yeah. Yep. I'll tell you, I had something happen to me a couple of weeks ago that I thought was pretty cool. I had a delivery driver call me about a delivery, and he did the same thing, identified himself, told me what he was doing, left his number again. And I don't know if they had it automated or if he had a template set up. Richard talks about templates all the time, but I I don't feel like I had hung up for more than 5 seconds, and I got a text message, his name, company, and his phone number. Bloop.
That'd be cool.
And I was like, oh, that's sweet, because now I know he actually can text as a truck driver. Some of them, can or can't. But now I've actually got his number right, and all I got to do is click on that, and now I've got his number. And, I just replied back, thanks. Never heard back from him again. 2 days later, 30 minutes before he was supposed to show up, he sent me an ETA, and we were good to go, and it was done. This was after we had tried to have this little hood delivered 6 times from other drivers with this bunch. And this guy had took it upon himself to set it up and be a little more professional about it and got it done. No issues, no problems. I'm like, that is what I'm talking about when it comes to the delivery driver. Somebody who just goes one step further than his standard company did, and got it done.
Sure.
So, yeah,
and
that's good.
That's one thing, I realize a lot of people are moving away from voicemail too. So while I leave a good voicemail that I have a good chance of a callback, if I need to hear from them sooner, I'll turn around and send them a text, because I get a lot higher return yet on a text message than I do on voicemail.
Oh, we found that up in the mountains of Asheville, big time.
Yep.
Oh my word! You came up there and helped us some up there while we were working there, but it was amazing to me the amount of people up there. Well, I mean, I found out when I was out there delivering sheds in some of those places, you could call and call and call and call until they got out of that place and up on top of the hill. They weren't going to get it anyway. You sent them a text message. First time they drove up on top of the hill, bloop, now they got their text message. And it didn't take me. I don't think I dealt with a week up there before I switched it all to text message. We wouldn't even take calls anymore. First of all, my phone was blowing up and there wasn't no way I could keep up with it. But second, I went from 5 or 6 calls per person to one text message. And, sometimes it'd be 2 days later, they'd answer and they'd be like, oh, yes, I still want one. I just went into town and finally got service. It's like, oh, oops.
You made an excellent point there. And I'll ask a customer if we have a phone conversation and then we're still in the scheduling process. I'll ask them, is it okay if I text you back? And 90% of the time or 95% of the time, absolutely.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
The reason I'm bringing this point up is it takes you 10 to 30 seconds to get a text out.
Oh yeah.
To effectively communicate via text. Where you get them on the phone, it's anywhere from 5 minutes to 30 minutes just to get that 30-second message out.
Yeah, no kidding.
So as self-dispatch, that's important to me.
add a couple haulers we know, and I don't know how they're never off the phone. Not going to mention any
haulers, shots fired.
Oh, I tell you, some of them boys, they got way too much time on their hands, I guess. Well, they're all going around with that thing you got on your head. So they just literally talk to each other all day long. And I'm like, buddy, I'm sorry. I don't wear one of them things and I don't have that kind of time.
And I get it. I don't necessarily care to wear this thing all day, but the children were out playing here earlier. I'm out back in the swing set.
It makes it so much easier on you.
It's easier, and the noise canceling feature. My boss actually commented, we do a weekly sales meeting. He's like, that headset you got, he said, that's really good. I was like, I don't hear the truck in the background. You're clear.
Yep.
So, yeah.
So what are you running?
What I have on my head?
Yeah.
Look at what is it? Blue Parrot 450.
Okay. Yep. I'm still a fan of Blue Parrots being some of the best noise canceling ones out there.
I know I watched the recent discussion. There's some others I'd like to try out that are a little bit cheaper that sounded like have some good reviews, but right now I didn't take the time to get on Amazon. My time home's too valuable to do a lot of that. So the headset gets lost. I finally lost one here recently. Like, I don't know where that one got to. Well, the quickest thing is hit the truck stop and get another one and
get
keep
another
going.
one. Yes, sir. I agree. Well, man, you don't know how much I appreciate you coming on. Always wanted to hear a little more about your story, where you're going, and what what you're up to or whatever. I wish you all the best. I think what you guys do as a company up there is phenomenal. Love those dudes. Love you guys. What you're doing with your family's great. Love, there's people talk all the time about all the bad stuff that happens on social media or whatever. But for us guys in the shed industry, and especially in the shed hauler industry, we can pretty much stack it all up to Facebook for having what we have. Because if it wasn't for our Facebook page, the connections we make on there, and taking it a step further and getting together and hanging out, at the barbecues, the bashes, and all the different things we do, even working with all our different vendors that we have, all the trailer supply guys, all the the building moving services and everything. It all comes from what we tied together on social media. Even the podcast. Even the podcast is all based off of that. So yeah, thank you very much. I appreciate you very much as a friend, as a brother in Christ. I know your relationship with Christ is a big thing to you. I see it all the time. We didn't really get into it this time. Maybe down the road somewhere we'll get into that. We'll do a 2-hour one. But
Sure.
very, very much appreciate you, and thank you for coming on today.
It's been an honor and a pleasure to do this. Thank you.
Thanks again, Shed Pro, for being the Shed Geeks studio sponsor for 2025. If you need any more information about Shed Pro or about Shed Geek, just reach out. You can reach us by email at info@shedgeek.com, or just go to our website, www.shedgeek.com, and submit a form with your information, and we'll be in contact right away. Thank you again for listening, as always, to today's episode of the Shed Geek Podcast. Thank you, and have a blessed day.